That new approach that Donald Trump was indicating he was going to take when it comes to immigration, the conciliatory tone, the working with the Democrats, that's just gone because he once again got almost instantly triggered over the topic. But is it over the topic of immigration or the fact that yet again a woman dared to ask him a question? Let's watch and see if we can figure it out.
Some of your own administration officials have labeled Alex Pretti.
By the way, this is ABC fake news, this one. She hasn't asked me a good question in years. I think a nice woman, but I don't really like her too much. Go ahead, what'd you say? I'd say ABC's about as bad as they get.
So I don't want to get sidetracked, but did you notice what we noticed? Why is he wearing one black leather glove in that video? Now, look, maybe it's something super normal. Maybe like he had just taken a handoff to sign something, although you can sign something with a glove on. What would you need to do with one ungloved hand and the other stays gloved? I don't know. I instantly think, because I have Trump derangement syndrome, that we've now gone beyond him just covering up his hand when he's sitting at a table and beyond just like shellacking on that material that you use for drywalling and just spreading a thick layer over that. And he now actually needs a full-on glove. And think about it. He thought he was doing a good job with the covering the hand and with the shellacking or whatever. How bad must it be for him to realize he needs to actually cover it up? And if you're gonna do that, dude, you're not Michael Jackson. You're not a villain. You're not, as Brett was pointing out this morning, Thanos. One glove is a level of villain that even you should not be aspiring to. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so I utterly lost his mind because he was asked a question by a woman and instantly has to throw out the, oh, it's fake news, oh, she's mean to me. Because Trump is a strong alpha male. You know what strong alpha males do with their time? Bitch and moan about the fact the world isn't fair, just constantly. Clint Eastwood, most of his movies are him just sitting around going, oh shucks, everybody's mean to me. That's why I don't watch those movies, they're boring. But anyway, now, not long ago, Donald Trump was in a better mood when it comes to this, or at least wanted to seem like he's willing to work with people. So he had been having calls with the governor, with the mayor, and indicating that they could potentially maybe draw down the forces a little bit. But Tim Walz has an interview where he talked about what was said on that call. And interestingly, Donald Trump had left it out of the way he spoke about the call. Here's what Walz revealed.
I talked to the White House. I talked to Tom Homan. I talked to numerous people. And not once did they ever say Alex or Renee's name. Not once did they ask how the people of Minnesota were doing. So look, I know who I'm dealing with. And I know the reason that he was calling me was he needed something from us. He needed it not because this is a horrific situation of a violation of human rights, the potential murder of Minnesotans, an assault on our state that is unprecedented, I think, in American history. The reason he was calling was his poll numbers dropped and it looked bad on TV. He told me that he doesn't understand what's wrong with Minnesota. I don't know what's wrong with you people. I said, nothing's wrong with Mr. President. We're one of the most effective states and one of the best places to live. And he told me that, well, look, Tim, we did this in New Orleans. We did it in Louisville. There's no problems. And I said, you didn't kill anybody in Louisville or New Orleans. And the operation here looks very different from that. And then he told me it was successful in Venezuela.
He talked to you about Venezuela.
He did.
What does he think happened in Venezuela? Does he think they were doing immigration enforcement in Venezuela? Like, I'm not, like, okay, the simplest explanation is he's just like, I can exert force wherever I want. Look, I took out these people in Venezuela. I did it in Louisville. I did it in New Orleans, and I'll do it here too. And that would be really ominous because what the hell are you talking about? You're talking about this domestic immigration enforcement the same way that you talk about using the discombobulator or whatever to zap people's brains in Venezuela. I would prefer if you not do that. But the situations are so fundamentally different that's again almost seems like one glove villain level of rhetoric. So it can't be that, right? Like, does he think the operation of Venezuela was something different than it was? I don't know. So that's super strange. I don't know. we could ask him a question at a press conference about it, but he'll probably just pee his pants and start bitching again. So anyway, I don't want to gloss over what Waltz revealed at the beginning of that video, which is Donald Trump did not express any empathy or concern whatsoever. And you know why? I thought about it and I figured it out. It's because he never ever has, because he's utterly incapable of it, and the inclination to do so would be utterly alien to him. And even politicians that I don't like even politicians I've really disliked, would have done that. You know what? I had a lot of problems with Biden. I think Biden would have actually cared. I think he would have been concerned. George W. Bush killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, but I bet he would have asked about the families or something, but Donald Trump doesn't care about it. And by the way, this isn't just like, well, he's gonna say what he's gonna say. Reports from inside of the Trump camp are saying the only reason he's even scrambling to try to get a rein on this thing is because of the political damage, not out of concern for the people who have died or those who might next be murdered by ICE. He has no concern about that whatsoever. And I'm the weirdo that bothers me. I'm the weirdo because I think that should be a deal breaker for the American people, that Donald Trump just fundamentally doesn't care if American citizens are being murdered. But I want to be that weirdo. I've already given up too much in the past year or so to Johnny Damage. I want to expect that people will have empathy for their fellow man. Maybe not particular men, like Mayor Jacob Frey, who Trump now is once again feuding with after previously saying he had a great call or whatever. He posted on True Social, surprisingly, Mayor Jacob Frey just stated that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws. This is after having a very good conversation with him. Could somebody in his inner sanctum, look, I'm a nerd, man. I appreciate a good sanctum as much as anybody else who grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons. But what the hell are you talking about, Grandpa? Could anyone please explain that this statement is a very serious violation of the law, and not just the law, the capital L law, and that he is playing with fire? And what's the point of that? It's, once again, I'm going back to indicating that maybe I'll investigate, maybe I'll lack up, maybe I will jail my political opponents. So we had one day of playing nice, and then we're back to saying maybe Pam Bondi will be coming in, maybe she'll have to do something. So anyway, here is how Frey responded to that, saying, the job of our police is to keep people safe, not enforce Fed immigration laws. I want them preventing homicides, not hunting down a working dad who contributes to MPLS and is from Ecuador, referencing one of the most egregious cases that we previously talked about on the show. It's similar to the policy your guy Rudy had in NYC. Everyone should feel safe calling 911. And that's because his obligation is to his constituents, not to helping Donald Trump do his little photo ops, try to placate his racist base and everything. That's not what Frey was elected to do. And so I'm glad about that. So Trump is an utter dud when it comes to maybe charting a new path or whatever, but he did send Tom Homan. Here's what Tom Homan said recently. I'm not here because the federal government has carried out its mission perfectly. I do not want to hear that everything that has been done here has been perfect. And that is good. And if you judge him entirely based off of what is between the quotation marks of that sentence, he's doing a hell of a job. Moving on. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't know what else he's gonna do. Probably something terrible. I'm assuming he's been given like a very strong directive to not cause more disasters for the Trump administration. And he does have a lot of experience on the job. Like my main issue, well, he's said a lot of terrible stuff on Fox News. My main issue with him is with one of the most blatant and ridiculous cartoonish levels of corruption we've ever seen. Literally accepting a bag full of cash or whatever. That doesn't mean that he can't necessarily draw down, ICE or whatever. Remember, he's been working on immigration stuff for a very long time, and while we've had a lot of issues with some of the policies that they have pursued, certainly, the public executions are more of a recent thing, kind of at least. So I don't know. Maybe he'll be able to accomplish something, who knows? Anyway, Tom Homan did say this about what it would take to fully draw down, to be done in Minneapolis. He said that the crackdown in Minnesota could wind down if federal agents gained broader access to state jails amid public outrage over the administration's policies. Quote, the withdrawal of law enforcement resources here is dependent upon cooperation. As we see that cooperation happen, then the redeployment will happen. Again, They both Waltz and Frey have talked about how they have had access to the prison. So I don't even know what that is supposed to be a reference to. I don't have the level of subject expertise to tell you how much he's exaggerating the obstacles that they're facing. So I don't know. It does feel a little bit like in the neighborhood of Pam Bondi's letter that we talked about a few days ago, where she was like, well, maybe we stop killing your people if you do X, Y, and Z, with Z being give us your voter rolls. And interesting that was on her mind as they prepare to launch this FBI raid in Georgia, which we'll be talking about later on the show. It's almost like there's like an overarching strategy that's being pursued across multiple states where they've had trouble winning elections of late. Interesting. In any event, supposedly, according to Senator Collins, ICE has ended large-scale operations in Maine after she spoke with Noam. And so don't worry, I'm sure ICE has learned its lesson, as Susan Collins likes to say. So I guess they're done there, I suppose. We'll see. I'm sure that Noam, like maybe she thinks, I just need 1 or 2 fewer votes to impeach me. And so if I can get Collins on my side, then maybe I can save my ass. But I don't know. I also don't trust Noam. And my advice to Senator Collins would be to retire. But then my second piece of advice would be don't trust Noam either. Why would you possibly do that?